Hello everyone, a few disclaimers. I am sick and I really wanted to post this video. I said I would post it within a month and we're still within a month. Also, my son is here on the floor with me. You're on his chair. This is a bit of a risky setup, but I just need to do this in any way I can. And my third disclaimer, there's glare in my glasses, but I don't really know how to fix it. I'm only filming this 2 days ahead. So I'm gonna try and make this kind of like quick so that I can actually edit it in 2 days. This is my son, who is 8 months old, almost. Okay, so this is my breastfeeding journey. And I also have like several things I wanna say before I get started. And I'm sorry, this video is a little bit messy, but first of all, before anything else, fed is best. My baby would not have survived if there was no formula. If formula did not exist, my baby would not be able to eat. So I like formula, okay? I only care that my baby is fed. Also connected to that, the reason he had to be formula fed for a while, and the whole reason I had a tricky breastfeeding journey, is that I got sick after giving birth. I made a video about my story of being in the hospital for a month after giving birth. It's better if you just watch that, but the key points that are important. After giving birth, I lost over 1.5 liters of blood. So that usually makes it take longer for your body to, you know, have your milk come in. I'm sorry that he's like bumping the chair. This is probably jarring to both watch and listen to. And a day after he was born, my baby had an infection and had to be rushed off to the NICU, which is 5 hours away. So we both had, you know, like air ambulances come and get us. This was of course super scary. I was set up with a pump so that I would, you know, be pumping and trying to keep my supply, or like trying to just stimulate because my milk hadn't come in yet. Then the day after we got there, so the second day he was alive, I got sick. I got a terrible infection in my pelvic joint. Like, it was the worst pain I've ever felt. Way worse than birth. And yes, I did say that immediately. It's not like I'm just saying it now because I forgot the pain of labor. It was way worse. I would have given birth multiple times instead of dealing with that. I had to learn to walk again. It was just such a horrible thing. We spent a month in hospital. But on day 3 of being sick, I woke up with my boobs feeling tight. So I realized my milk had come in and I was just so excited that my body did something good. Like, it had finally done something right, because it felt like everything else was just going wrong at this point. So I was so beyond excited. I don't actually remember what it felt like the first time I pumped and got milk out, because we had, you know, just pumped and, you know, had nothing, like no output at all, because my milk was not there and we were just trying to stimulate my boobs. So we were advised to pump every 3 hours for 15 to 30 minutes, and we were just, you know, going crazy. Like, I really wanted to breastfeed, and of course my partner wanted to help me, first of all, be able to breastfeed because it was my wish, but also because it would make his life easier, because if we didn't have to deal with bottles, you know? And I was on really strong like medications both for pain and for the infection, so we couldn't, you know, use the milk. We had to just discard it. And the good part about that is that we didn't have to wash the pumping equipment every single time. Of course, we exchanged it like, I don't know, every day or something, but we didn't have to, you know, go and get new ones every single time we pumped, because that would have been a lot. Because of my infection, I could only lie flat on my back, like completely flat. Like, my head was flat too. There was no incline on my bed because that was hella painful. Of course, if you imagine putting pumps on your boobs and then pumping while you're lying flat, the suction cups are obviously not completely leak proof, so a lot of milk ended up in my bed. There was just milk everywhere. But the worst part about this is that my baby, like, whenever I had him on me, which I didn't have him on me all that much because I was exhausted. I was just so exhausted all the time. Holding him just felt like a lot of work for my body, and it's not really a lot of work to hold most newborns because they're pretty chill. Like, he was chill, yes, but I was just exhausted. So it was hard for me to hold him, but I did try to have him on me and have skin to skin and stuff because of, you know, obviously that's gonna help your milk supply. I also looked at pictures of him sometimes when we were pumping, because that's also something you're advised to do. Something else you're advised to do is to eat well and sleep well, and I did neither of these. It was really hard for me to sleep well because I was in so much pain, and I got like antibiotics put in through an IV 12 times every 24 hours. So of course I was woken up a lot through the night. So it's hard to, you know, get proper rest. And it was also really hard to eat well because I had no appetite. I was on a lot of meds, was in a lot of pain, and I was obviously like distraught. I was in like not a good place physically or mentally, because this was horrible. It's my first child and I spent his newborn face in the hospital bed. When I pumped though, I looked at, you know, the amounts that I pumped, and I looked at the amounts he ate from his formula bottles, and I was just like, I'm never gonna be able to produce enough milk for him. If I could only partially breastfeed, I would still do it, but I really just wanted to be able to produce enough, but I just could not see this happening. So I didn't have like a super positive outlook on this, but I also did not know that your baby can drink more than what you're pumping. Like when you're pumping, that's not like a good representative of your output. Also, the strong medicine also affected my supply. So I was trying to think of that, but it's hard to be rational when you're really sad all the time. You're kind of like desperate to make this work, and it seems to not be working. And then finally, after 5 long weeks on antibiotics, we could finally try breastfeeding. And my partner and I were so excited because we thought he would be so happy to get the boob, because he had been searching for the boob the whole time. Like whenever he was on me, he really tried to latch, and it was so hard to deal with. Like having to refuse him the boob is honestly one of the hardest things. A hungry newborn who's searching for the boob and you have to just deny him the boob. Oh my God, it was so hard. Like I would cry all the time. And just to mention this, he's my first child, so I'd never breastfed before. He got sick a day after he was born. Right after he was born, like an hour or two, they put him on my boob and he latched, but I don't remember anything about this. I don't remember him latching. I don't remember what it felt like. I don't remember anything, strangely. I don't remember if it hurt. I just don't remember anything. Oh my God, my leg is asleep. And then I was trying to get him to latch throughout, you know, the rest of the day, because he was born in the morning. I don't remember, but I remember they gave him some formula. Like they did ask permission, of course, but I mean, I just wanted my baby to eat, but he couldn't latch because like we thought he was just like really uncomfortable and like just pissed off after being born, because it was a rough labor. He had swallowed a lot of amniotic fluids and stuff, so we thought he was just like not feeling great and he was nauseous and stuff, but it was obviously because of his infection, but we didn't know that. So I never got him to properly like latch after that initial time that I don't even remember. So anyway, because he was so like always searching for the boob and stuff, we thought it would be easy. We thought we would just, you know, put him on the boob and he would immediately be like, yes. Okay, we're done with the bottles. I'll just drink from the boob now and everything will be fine and this will be a super smooth transition. And I bet everyone's laughing at me right now because he is a baby who's for 5 weeks only had bottles. Why would he want to drink from a boob? It's easier to get output from a bottle for a baby, and that's also what he was used to. He had never, you know, actually drank from a boob, so he did not want to latch. We struggled for like 4 hours and we finally got him to latch and possibly drink some, but it hurt so much. I know people say that it could hurt like in the beginning, but most babies just are straight out of the womb, you know, and they've never, you know, tried a bottle. My baby was 5 weeks, so he was obviously like bigger and stronger and used to bottles. It hurt so bad. We started on a Saturday. On Sunday, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, what if he latches wrong and then he'll get used to latching wrong and then we'll fuck up everything. He will just get used to this and we won't be able to, you know, reverse it and we have no chance. So I decided to keep pumping and, you know, give him whatever breast milk we got in bottles. And then he still, of course, continued eating formula as well because I was not producing enough. And then on that Monday, I contacted our health center. So we went there to get some guidance, and our lovely, I don't know what to call her, but like health nurse, whatever, helped me get him to latch. And she actually just, because I got advice to, you know, do this like grip to, you know, shove the boob in his mouth and all of that, but she just let him latch by himself and that worked really well. So that's what we've been doing since. And that's kind of amazing. Like he's used to a bottle being kind of shoved into his mouth, right? So the fact that he was able to just, you know, latch on his own, I think that's really cool. So it worked really well until we got home. Like we went to my friend's house, still worked really well. Then we got home and it was fucking painful again. And I was really like, should I just pump and not have to deal with this? Which, I mean, it's so easy to think like when you're breastfeeding, like, is this worth it? Should I just give up? I know, I feel like for me, it was very easy to think that. I didn't want to give up and I never did. Breastfeeding is challenging, like, God damn it. Anyway, our health nurse, she did say that working on, you know, exclusively breastfeeding him would be a real project. So I was like, okay, well, I'm quite like optimistic when it comes to these things. I'm like, ooh, it'll be hard, but you didn't say impossible, so we can do it. But it was no lie, like this did take a lot of work. So how we worked on this. How we worked on, you know, increasing my supply and also getting him used to the boob is that I pumped or had him on the boob every 2 hours. Non-negotiable. Like every 2 hours he was either on my boob or I was pumping. I did skin to skin, which is probably like the most obvious thing that people will advise you. Eventually my appetite increased, so I started eating more. My partner wanted me to drink oat milk, and I know I drank like 1 carton, but we kind of forgot about it, I think. But that's something that people are often advised. But I remember I googled like, is it too late to increase my supply, like babies more than a month old? But my health nurse said that if I can get him to exclusively breastfeed by 3 months, that's really good, because from 3 months, like they've usually capped like how much they're gonna eat, so they don't really increase their need for milk after that. So if I can just get my supply up, but 3 months, get him just exclusively breastfeeding, then we should be good. And I, like most breastfeeding people, was so terrified of mastitis the whole time, like especially in the beginning. I'm still scared of it, but I mean in the beginning, oh my god, I was just like, I'm feeling something. Is this a lump? Something's like itchy or something's tingling, or I was so scared of like my milk ducts just clogging up, or I was so scared of mastitis because people say it's super painful. So also when he was like 8-9 weeks old, he had a nursing strike, so he would not go on the boob and he was just crying. It started with 1 boob and then it was both of them, and he would only really eat from the boobs at night. So in the daytime I would have to pump and feed him. It was bad enough already because I was obviously pumping quite a bit, but when he also would not eat from the boobs, I would have to pump even more. Like at night, he would need to be fed, I would need to pump. Pump parts had to be washed, and then, yeah, let's sleep a little bit before he wakes up again and needs to be fed again, or I need to pump again. Because every 2 hours, you know, you don't have a lot of time between that. Because feeding takes a long time, pumping takes a long time, and cleaning also takes time. So, goddamn, this was so exhausting. But then, mid-September, he had his last bottle of formula. It took almost 3 months, but we managed to exclusively breastfeed, and we still do. And he's almost 8 months now. So it's been almost 5 months of exclusively breastfeeding, and of course almost 7 months of breastfeeding to some extent. But honestly, this is one of my biggest achievements in life. I just have to say, it took so much work. It was exhausting. And of course, having a baby is already exhausting. Breastfeeding a baby is exhausting. Everything, like pumping and bottle feeding and everything, like it's exhausting. But this journey is kind of special. Like we had to do all of it, and it was so much work. I'm so proud of it. And it also just shows, this is also like probably the main reason I wanted to make this video, but it's just to show that it is doable, because I really felt like this is not doable. This is not doable, like we won't be able to do it, and this was my chance to breastfeed and I lost it. You know, it was kind of taken away from me by both of us being sick, but it's doable. It took so much work, but it was doable, and it's obviously kind of like paid off, because if I just given up and I would have had to like bottle feed this whole time, then that would have been a lot more work than breastfeeding is. Because one of the main reasons I wanted to breastfeed is because it can be a lot easier than bottle feeding, because you don't have to, you know, clean pumping parts and clean bottles and sterilize bottles and all of that. So it's very convenient. Like when you go out, and oh my god, going outside, like going somewhere and not bring formula was such a win. Like knowing that we already had the food, you know, with us without bringing something. I'm so sorry about the noise, oh my god. So then we had a good month of, you know, exclusively breastfeeding, and then freaking I got a yeast infection, and I didn't know this was possible, but it was because well, I know why it happened, because I was putting cream on my nipples a lot, because I had, you know, sore nipples and I didn't want to deal with that. So I, you know, used cream way too much. You're not supposed to use it unless they're actually sore. And I was kind of using it to prevent my nipples from getting sore, which you should not do. So obviously my nipples were wet a lot, and I got a yeast infection, but only in 1 boob. In the boob that is my son's least favorite. I did not know you could get a yeast infection in your boobs. So I was just like, what the hell is this? And I thought, at first I thought it was my nipple like being sore. So obviously I probably used more cream. First I noticed that my nipple was like white. It was going white, and then it was so painful. First it was like really painful when he latched, and then like not really, like I could deal with it for the rest of, you know, him eating. I held my partner's hand whenever he latched on because it was so painful. It feels like you have like these glowing wires being pulled back and forth in your boobs, and I know it sounds terrible, but it is. It's so bad. It's so painful. I kind of like just lost my shit one night. I was like, this is so painful. I don't know what to do. Don't know how to deal with this. And my partner just like woke up and my son was in his bed. He just found me out in the living room being like, because it was so painful. I didn't know what to do. Paracetamol like did not work. I had Googled it and stuff. And after Googling a bit, I realized like this is a yeast infection. It's like it's so easy to tell from the symptoms like being listed and how the pain is described. So we got some, you know, like yeast infection cream. I didn't read properly the instructions online because I just read on the packet and it says like use 2 to 3 times a day. If you're using it on your nipple, you're supposed to use it 8 times a day or up to 8 times, which I didn't. So I didn't use it enough. So I didn't get rid of it. It took really long. I had another like attack, if you may call it that, and another very early morning where I just lost my shit. It was so bad that my son was finally sleeping. Like I was trying to, he was going through a sleep regression at this time as well, and I was trying to like stretch his morning sleeps till like 6, and it was like 5:15, and I'd gotten him to sleep on me. So I was like, if I can just stay here and keep him asleep, then tomorrow maybe he will sleep till 6. So I was trying to get him to like stay asleep till 6, but it was so painful that I kept squirming and I could not do it. Like at 5:38 or something, I just could not do it anymore. And my motivation was huge because I really wanted, you know, to get him to sleep longer in the morning, but I could not do it. Like I could not stay there. It was so painful. It was the kind of pain like I couldn't even, you know, try to take my mind off it. I couldn't like play games. I couldn't do anything to like keep my mind off of it because it was just so painful and so like just like, consuming everything, like my thoughts and everything. So I got like an emergency doctor's appointment and we went in that day and he was like, well, you gotta always offer that boob first, because I was of course not offering it every time because it hurt so much, but that only made it worse because there would be like pressure building up. So that was stupid, but I didn't know any better. But I should have gone to the doctor like in the first place, but because I knew it was that, I just, you know, tried to treat it myself. Finally, like when I started, you know, using the cream often enough and I started offering that boob first every time, it got better. It felt like forever, but finally, like we were done. We're fine now. My boobs are healthy again. And I hope I don't have any more issues, but who knows? It feels like a breastfeeding journey feels like you're just constantly scared that something's gonna happen. Like I have friends who's had mastitis like multiple times. And I'm just like, why should we be punished for like feeding our babies, you know? So now we're here. He is almost 8 months and he is still very much enjoying the boob. My maternity leave ends in 2 weeks when you're watching this. So we're gonna stop the breastfeeding at night when I start work. So obviously like my partner's gonna deal with that. I thought we could do some very careful weaning by me starting to like skip some feeds at night and try to just soothe him instead. No, I lasted 2 nights. It was horrible. This is a job for the dad in our case. He's gonna have to deal with it because I can't. It was exhausting. I already don't get enough sleep. I'm not gonna deal with that. And I'm hoping to continue breastfeeding him through the day, like till he's a year old, or, you know, maybe a little bit longer, like maybe a few weeks or a month. I don't know. Like it's not like I'm gonna just be like, oh, it's your birthday, so boom, we're done. We just have to see like how I feel and how he feels also, because, you know, he might just be like, I'm done. We'll see how it goes, but I don't have, like, I'm not gonna be breastfeeding. Oh, I know people say this, but I'm not gonna be breastfeeding for a long time after he's 1, because first of all, like, he's big enough to not need that, and also I don't want to. I just don't want to. But I am really enjoying the bond with him, and also the feeling that you're, you know, nurturing and actually providing food for another creature, and that creature being your baby. It's quite special and it's very nice, and I'm so grateful that I have been able to breastfeed. Not just grateful, because it did take a lot of work. Not only did it take a lot of work from me, but it took a lot of work from my baby. He was willing to, you know, change his whole feeding routine. He was willing to actually take the boob after only having bottles for 5 weeks. So I mean, it did take him being like just open to it, I guess. And also, of course, my partner put a lot of effort into this too, because I couldn't walk if he hadn't, you know, also woken up during the night and given me the pumping supplies and also cleaning them all the time. And, you know, if he hadn't supported me, of course, I wouldn't have been able to do this. In Norway, breastfeeding in public is super normal. People don't care at all. It's totally legal everywhere, you know, it's not a thing. Like, people just do it. And I feel confident doing it. I don't mind at all. My partner made me this like baby book for Christmas of like pictures of our son. And he also included a picture of me breastfeeding at a restaurant, and that just felt so good. Like, I just really appreciated that. Breastfeeding turned into a huge project for me. So, you know, having pictures of me breastfeeding makes me feel good. It makes me happy. The weird thing though is that my son no longer likes bottles, so he will not take a bottle. This is not so much a problem anymore because he eats other foods now. He started tasting when he was 4 months, and he started, you know, eating more when he was 6 months. So he does eat like meals at this point, so I can, you know, leave him, but I still breastfeed like quite often, so I obviously, like, I don't really leave him that much because he won't take bottles. Even if it's my milk, he will not. So I haven't pumped in a while, at least. That's something, because I do not like pumping anymore. I forgot to say, the pump I have is a Medela double freestyle hands-free. That's not the right order of those words, but it's all the words. I was debating which pump I should buy before he was born, and I was like, I don't want to be pumping a lot, so maybe I shouldn't, you know, buy an expensive pump. I don't remember why I made up my mind. I read some forums and all of that, and I was like, what if I end up having to pump a lot? And we do want another child as well, so I was like, well, I'll, you know, hopefully have 2 breastfeeding journeys, so maybe it's worth it to, like, just, you know, splurge on a pump. So we did. It's expensive, just gonna say that. I'm lucky that I was able to buy it, of course. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have a hands-free pump that just, you know, is automatic and just like double, it would have been so much harder to do this. So I'm so happy I bought that pump. Also, something to mention, in Norway, you have breastfeeding rights. So when you start work and up till your baby is 1, I think, you get 1 hour of paid, like, just time for breastfeeding a day. So you can either use that to like pump at work, or you can use that to come home. So I'm probably gonna, you know, come home midday to feed him and then go back to work, because I live close enough to my job where that makes sense. Some people like just leave work early or go to work an hour later. Some people even have 2 hours, but I don't. But that's quite amazing because I do not want to be pumping at work, and I don't think my boobs can last a whole day without pumping. But yeah, that is my breastfeeding journey. It's quite like a unique journey, but I know a lot of people have challenging breastfeeding journeys. So it's not like I'm the only one who has, you know, a complicated story, but this story is kind of wild. I do encourage you to go and watch my, you know, story of getting sick after birth if you want another wild story. That's like the wilder story, but I'm just so happy I was able to breastfeed, and so just grateful to my baby and to myself and my partner that we were able to just pull this off, because yes, it was a project. It took a lot of work, but I'm so pleased. And I've gotten like so much praise from like the workers at the health center and like my family and friends. Like, people are just so impressed with this, and I mean, they should be, because it is pretty amazing. But it's really cool that like people at the health center have like come up to like ask me, are you able to breastfeed? Because they're like excited to know, because they're so like excited for me, and I have a unique story, so they wanted to be like, did you actually do it? And yes, we did it, and I'm so happy about it. So yeah, that is my breastfeeding journey. I don't really have anything more to say. I hope maybe this was encouraging for someone, maybe interesting for others. I think this is important to talk about, and especially for me, when I was going through it, it was really encouraging to hear of others who had had challenges and were able to overcome them. Thank you so much for watching this. It means a lot to me, and I shall see you later. Maybe next week will be 24 hours with an 8-month-old. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. As I said, I'm sick, so might not feel like filming myself for 24 hours, but maybe I feel better tomorrow. Who knows? Okay, I'll see you later.